Oh, hello. So I'm going to do a headband, and I've already done a lot of it, in my Hydra Stitch, and I've done it with two different colors. So this brown that I'm doing it with is a dark, dark chocolate brown, and it is a wool, a commercial wool. And then the colorful one that I'm using here and also putting in here is one I spun out of merino wool. And I spun it into a bulky single. So you see it here, and it looks kind of crinkly, and that's because I had it I was doing a different project and I decided not to do it, so I frogged it. And because it's wool, it's holding the shape, but as I knit with it, it'll go back into the shape that I put it in. What it actually really looks like when that's not happening, here's some more of it. It actually looks like this when it's not all crinkled. So it's just a bulky single. You can see what it looks like. And so not that you have to use that. You can use any yarn you like. I just happen to like roving yarn. All right, so the loom I'm using, this is a Cindywood loom, and it is a 34 peg 3/4 inch. Most of you will use a bigger loom than that in a 3/4 inch, at least a 36. I just have a very small head, and so this is the teenager size, and that's what I use. So don't use the looms that I use unless you have a very small head. Okay, what else? Oh yes, my loom hook was from a company that's called We Have a Handle on This. I don't think they're making loom hooks now, but she had told me at one point she was going to start again. But that's where that's from. And then I will probably get questions about my blanket. This is my swatch blanket. It's on my channel. I make swatches before I make projects, and I use them to try out stitches. So I had this huge collection of swatches, and I decided to just sew some of them together and make a swatch blanket. That way, it's a memory of all these different stitches I created to look at, and it's colorful, and it gives me a base to work on. I had misplaced it for a while, but I found it again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll take you to the video of how to cast on, and then the first 2 rows that you do, and then we'll go into doing the stitch. And you can do it all one color or use any kind of yarn you like, or if you wanted to, you could do what I did and just, have a couple different colors in there. Entirely up to you. So I'll take you to the video, and then we'll come back and we will show you how to do the stitch. So I'm going to show you how to start this piece, and I'm going to show you the cast on and the first few rows before we start into the pattern. The yarn I'm using for this is Atlantis, Estelle Atlantis, and the color is Gleam. And it's a combination of yellows and creams and light taupe and copper and bronze and lots of those colors in it. And it's a bulky. And it's, I guess it's pretty close to Charisma width to give you an idea of how big a bulky it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is a chain cast on. So what I do is I just make a slip knot. And any way you make a slip knot's fine. It just goes on the first peg like that. And we take the loom hook, put it inside the loop, and pick up a yarn. And so that we have a loop of yarn here. I'm just going to keep this tight over here. And then I'm going to come over behind the next peg, put the working yarn through, and snug it up. Behind, working yarn through, snug it up. Behind, whoop, behind, and we caught 2 pegs, snug it up. Behind, snug it up. And we just do that all the way around the loom. And that's a chain cast on. It's one of the crochet cast-ons. We're Works really good. You can use a crochet hook to do this if you want. I find it a lot easier just to do with my hands, but if you're in a very tiny gauge loom, you might really need a hook to get your fingers in between the pegs. This cast on can be used on any size of loom with the appropriate yarn for that gauge. I use this cast on with most of my pieces because I like the look of it. I do use other ones from time to time just because I think they go nicer with the work, but this one is nice. You don't have to worry about tightening any loops. It has a really nice appearance. And I just kind of do this weird thing when I do it because that helps me to get the right tension. But you can do it in one smooth motion too. Just the way I like to do the chain cast on. Get some more yarn out of here. Okay. Whoop. Caught this in it. There we go. And then I just plop it on the last peg. And then you notice there's a space here. You could also pop it on there, but I find it makes this really thick here. So what I've started doing is just ending right here when I do this cast on, and then just knit it off. And then we're just going to come over here and knit this to secure it. And then what I do, because there's only one piece of yarn coming here and it's thicker in here, is I take this loop that I had left and put it over here, and then I just knit it over. And that makes it blend in better. At least that's what I think. And also this is partially secured already, so it will stay tighter and not loosen up on you now, which sometimes happens. Okay, so what we're going to do with this stitch, and I've already done one knit stitch here, is we're just going to do a row of U-knit. So a row of U-knit right after the cast on. This completes the cast on part of it. And a U-knit is just over the peg like that and knit it off. If you're doing this pattern, I'd be pretty sure you already know how to U-knit, but just in case. And it gives you one of the, well, the real knit stitches really, since E-wrap is a twisted knit and it's the same as knitting through the back loop in needle knitting. But these all give you the V stitch, which is the knit stitch. And this yarn has lots of nice color changes. I really like it. Oh, it's 50% wool and 50% acrylic. So really nice to work with, unless you're one of those people that's allergic to wool. But if you're not, it's beautiful to work with. It just glides on. And we must almost be back there. If it's yeah, we're almost back there. I was going to pause it if it was still a long ways, and I will do that on some of these rows just because it's going to really take up a lot of length in the video. Okay. Oop. This is loose because it's this one right here. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is a row of purl. So Just go down, pull a loop up and do that. I'll do it slower, but you should know how to purl. So we're just going to put this in just like the same way when we cast on. We came in through here. Now we're going to take this loop and pull it up just like we did with the cast on, except we're going to take everything off here and then just put the loop back on. You just put it right over like that. And that's all there is to a purl. So we're just going to purl all the way around. Just want to have a good, strong, non-curling base. And of course, when we cast off, we're going to do the same thing. Do the same rows we did here so it matches. Okay, I'm going to put it on pause while I go around and do the purl. Okay, so I completed my row of purl. Okay, so in the video you did your cast on and the row of net and the row of purl. So now we're going to do the first stitch, which is my roses and chain stitch. So you're going to go over the peg, your peg number 1, and knit it off. Then I come back over the opposite way and knit it. And then you come forward again and knit it. Next peg, you knit it, come back again and knit it, and then knit it again this way. And that's all there is to it. Pretty easy to do. Knit, over, knit, and knit, back, and knit. You see how my yarn is straightening out as I go? That's wool for you. And whenever I say I use wool, I'm actually really using wool. I know a lot of people will use wool when they should be using the word yarn, but you know, before man-made yarn came around, everybody was using natural fibers and mostly they used wool, so people used the word wool. And then when acrylic fibers started coming along, some people started calling it yarn, but a lot of people still called it wool. But when I say wool, I'm really using wool. I do use acrylic fiber as well, but for a lot of my hats and things like that I often use wool because I love wool. It's nice and warm when you need it, and it's also cool and breathes when you don't, and it doesn't hold in odors like acrylic. There's a lot of things I like about it, but some people are allergic. So that's the way it is, and there's really some fine acrylic yarns around too. I especially like to use acrylic when I'm doing blankets because you use so much yarn, and you know, I don't want to have to protect everything from clothes moths because clothes moths do go after your wool. So anyway, we're just doing the roses and chain stitch all the way around, and I don't think I need to keep you watching all the way around. I think you should see how to use it. And I also have the roses and chain stitch on my channel, but this is row 1 of the Hydra stitch. So I'm just put you on pause, finish the row, and then we can do the next stitch. Okay, so I did that, and here we are at the last of the row, and we're going to start the next stitch. But I thought, let's look at the stitches too to really see what they look like. So I think you can see it a little more in this colored one. Why I even call it Hydra? It just looks like a bunch of waves, doesn't it? Has this wave kind of look to it. Hard to see on the brown, but easier to see on the color here. It just looks like some waves. But the nice thing I like about it is how nice the other side looks as well. So this is going to be a reversible headband for me because I really like the way this looks on the other side. If I pull it down, maybe you can see it a bit on the brown, but on the color, you can see what the pattern looks like. See, I'll pull it out, and it's a really nice, interesting pattern too. And this looks like it could be the good side. So that's what I like about Hydra Stitch. Now, what I did was I cast on 4 rows here, then I did 6 rows of this one, 6 rows of this one, and I'm going to end with 4 rows. So I went 4, 6, 6, 4, but you can do it any way you like. But I thought I would answer that before someone asked me the question of how many rows I did. Okay, now we'll do the second stitch, and very easy, and I know you already know how to do this one because this one is purl stitch. Get my phone here out of the road if I can put this down. So you do a row of purl. So you already know how to do that, and I actually showed you how to do that in the cast on video. So you just do a row of purl and go all the way around, and just on the very first peg you do the purl, go all the way around, end here, and then you start roses and chain stitch again on peg 1. And just so you can see how good it looks, it doesn't give you any kind of a jog. They blend in really, really well. You can't even tell. You can't tell. There I am right there where it is, and you can't tell. The stitches just seamlessly blend in. So there you go. That's really nice. So now you do your row of purl, and you're going to end when you're ready to bind off. You're going to end with your row of purl because you want to do the same thing you did when you cast on. So you end with your row of purl, and then you do a row of knit, and then the cast off. So when you get the length you want, you're just going to do a row of purl, a row of knit, and then cast off. And I will take you to the cast off video, and I might as well do that now because I'm just about ready. I'm just going to do my row of purl, my row of knit, and cast it off. I'll take you to the cast off video, and then we can look and see what it looks like. So I will see you then. And now what we're going to do is go ahead, and we're going to do a very stretchy bind off so that we can get it looking like it does at the beginning of the piece. So I went around the loom with the yarn 2.5 times. You can go up to 3 if you'd like, and then I cut it. So that's how much yarn I have to do this with. You can always use extra yarn because you can always cut it off, but I found I never go over the 2.5 times around. Okay, and so then we just get a good needle, and I've got a nice short needle with a great big eye here. I like this needle. And then we get the yarn through it. You can also use a loom hook, but I find a needle a lot easier. Okay, so we're just going to make sure our stitch here is tight, and this is where we're starting. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going up the stitch that we just came from, and then we're going to tighten that, and then we're going to go behind it, and we're going to go down the next stitch and just pull the yarn through. Make sure you're on this side of the loop, or else you'll be pulling it through the loop, and you don't want that. Okay? Okay. And then what I'm going to do is go up this one once more. Because this is just my starting place. And then I'm going to go behind this one, and I'm going to go down the new peg. And this is the pattern all the way now. We're just going to go down the new peg, pull it through, and tighten it, and go up the old peg. It gets easier once the yarn gets shorter. Okay, and then we're going to go behind the peg that was the new peg. A little bit awkward here for me. Okay, so we went behind this peg, and we're going to go down the new peg. Pull it tight. And up the old peg. Okay, so we're going to go behind, and that's the peg that was new last time, and then we're going to go down the new peg. Whoop. And up the old peg. And behind and down the new peg. Now, if you have a yarn that frays really easy and this process frays it while you're doing this, then that's okay. You can cut that off, secure it with a knot, and weave it in later, and then you can just add a new yarn and go. You can tie it on to the end that you cut off if it's not too badly frayed, and then sew it all in later. But however you'd like to do that, that's a way to do it if you're fraying. This yarn doesn't fray, so I'm using a nice long yarn. But just a tip, because sometimes you'll get a yarn that will not like the process of binding off. I seem to be tangled here in my wire. Okay, we got it off now. Okay, so here we are. So if you have to stop in the process, you look at where you are and you see the yarns coming out of here. So that means that was the last one you worked. So you're going to go behind and go down the new peg. And up the old peg. Okay, and behind and down. And up. Okay, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit and then we can catch up. Okay, so I've got, I'm almost to the end here. And this is a lot shorter now. Okay, so here I am, and I'm going behind the peg, and I'm going down. Okay, now it's much easier down and up and behind. Tightening it down, up, and behind, down, up, behind. So it's not really hard to do, except this one, because I have a little bit of a knot there that developed. Okay, and then up. and behind, down, and up, and behind, and down, there you go, and up, and behind, and down, and up, and behind, and down. Like, there we go, because I'm at the end. So basically now I've connected every peg. They're all connected. So I'm just going to leave this here to actually do a knot, or I could do a knot right now because it's important to do a knot to secure it. I sometimes do it at the end, but I'm just going to do it now. So we're just going to do a whoop, there, a knot. There we go. And then I will be weaving in that end, turning it in so you don't see the knot, and weaving it in after. But now we can take the needle off, and we can take our loom hook again, and then we can just start taking off the pegs. And we just take them off all the way around the loom. Some of them will be tighter. I find if I go the opposite way, it's looser and easier to take it off. So I'll go back the way that I had just come. Well, this looks like kind of funny big loops right now, but okay, so there we go. We just take the loom off now. And so then what we want to do is we want to stretch it. I go all the way around, stretching it. Okay, so here we are all bound off, and can look at the bind off and see what it looks like. I would compare it here, but you're never going to, it looks the same, but you're never going to see it against this dark color anyway. But, and more importantly, here's its stretch. Here's the stretch there. And see, it's nice and even on both sides, which is what you want. And there's what it looks like on this side. And here's what it looks like on this side. And this is the right side of Hydra Stitch. So it looks nice, but on the reverse side, it looks really nice too. So you can wear it either way. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. And so there you go. And until next time, bye.